Welcome to Freight Week STL 2026. Special thanks to our sponsors for their generous support of this annual event. We'll kick off this year's conference and Innovation Day with our first session taking a deeper dive into venture investment and the evolving logistics and supply chain landscape. We'll explore recent advances by companies in the portfolio of proChain Ventures as managing partner. JB Keating rejoins us to highlight the role of robotics, automation, and AI in freight movement and how geopolitical risk and reshoring may be shaping investment decisions. Welcome, JP. So let's start by sharing a little bit about your background.
Sure. JP Keating, I'm managing partner of proChain Ventures. We're based here in St. Louis, and our mission is advancing supply chain superiority. So that's all we invest in. That's all we do is focusing on supply chain logistics, mobility, and industrial operations. And that was all built from 25 plus years inside of global supply chains at companies like Boeing and Anheuser-Busch and ConAgra, and a couple of other ones in that mech, kind of the most complex supply chains in the world. And so I had a number of roles over the years that got me to the point of where I am now and starting my own firm. So I led procurement, supply chain operations organizations, logistics, some regulatory governance, and then ended up getting into corporate venture. And over this, I got to see where all of the systems break under pressure. And we built proChain to fix what operators know is broken and not necessarily what VCs know a lot about and they mostly theorize about. So we built it in a natural spot here in St. Louis, where I'm originally from, but also is an ideal location for what we do because of all of logistics operations and supply chain and transportation and mobility based across mid-America, specifically in St. Louis. So we always like to say that supply chain really isn't about cost optimization anymore. It's really about national security. And we invest in that infrastructure that keeps things moving when it matters most.
So last year, you told us about proChain Ventures investments in two St. Louis companies, Evolve and Intermotive. Remind us what both companies do and tell us about the advances they've made over the past year.
Sure. So Avol Aerospace and Intramotive. So Avol is a autonomous aerial logistics platform, primarily for healthcare. So sort of think high value, time sensitive movement for commercial, industrial, military applications. Initially, it's designed, excuse me, for moving up blood, organs, tissues, samples, medical samples, and things like that. So they're continuing to progress from when we spoke last year. So they're testing in the field, onboarding more customers in they're typically organ procurement organizations and healthcare systems. They've already tested deliveries, and they're building out the ground infrastructure that is going to support all of the future growth. So we're helping them right now build out some plans and for their production facility that'll be stood up here in St. Louis, hopefully by the end of this year. And overall, you can certainly look into why it matters, why it's important and why it matters, but it is a desperately needed solution for critical healthcare needs across the US and really around the world. Intermotive continues to just kind of tear it up. I like to say they're doing a fantastic job with developing and building out the company, especially here in St. Louis. They have their autonomous rail cars deployed. So they are autonomous, self-propelled, battery-powered rail car company. So they retrofit existing rail cars with drive systems, batteries, and sensors, and are able to move rail cars without the need for a locomotive. So it really expands the of how rail can be deployed in different ways, precision delivery, and then just supporting higher throughput in rail operations because they don't need a locomotive to move the cars around and put them to use. But basically they're doing this. Avol and Intramotive are doing the same thing in different domains: one rail, one air. And that's really about removing friction from movement and providing solutions in these gaps where their optionality and innovation is desperately needed.
Sounds like exciting times for both firms. What are some of the other companies proChain Ventures has invested in since last year's Freight Week, or any other wins you're excited about?
It's been an exciting 12 months since we talked before. We've invested in 6 more companies, and as I think I mentioned the last time around, but I'll reiterate it here. We focus on what I like to call a systems of systems thesis. in that we're looking for not really just point solutions, but adding in capabilities across the spectrum of supply chain management and operations. And we really prefer to have them all able to link together to provide value across that whole spectrum. And so some of the companies that we just recently done, one is called Logic, and they provide a unified operating system, warehouse operating system utilizing robotic pallets and a lot of autonomous material handling. So what's great about that is you no longer need forklifts, and you can compress the size of warehousing to make it extremely efficient. Plus that robotic pallet that they created can operate outside of the warehouse. So that links in well into cross docking operations, into intramotive. It works into trucking. It works in aircraft and and air cargo and all of that without the need for all of that other equipment in there. So really fantastic company. We did another company called Logbook, which is solving a very niche but incredibly difficult problem when it comes to supply chain and delivery, and that they have built new logistics workflows and intelligence around address and location data to provide real precision delivery for any carrier, any delivery provider out there to put the to put the cargo in the right place at the right time rather than delivering it to the wrong place because of inadequate address information. Some of the other ones we did in there, so Mighty Fly, which is another autonomous cargo aircraft, kind of a little bit larger, kind of mid-size, also kind of executes a similar mission to Avol and also to our larger autonomous aircraft company, Nautilus. They're just a kind of a mid-sized one in between that has some other specific missions that the other two don't really execute on. One of our other ones, Arvist, which is a company out of Chicago, they continue to grow. They deploy an AI-powered computer vision solution that monitors physical operations and turns cameras into like real-time intelligence platforms. So it monitors an entire operation in a warehouse or a yard or a dock or something like that. And it identifies where choke points are, other inefficiencies in the movement, and also layers in a safety element in there too for all the humans involved. But they just expanded operations to Europe. They opened up an experience center in Chicago towards the end of last year to showcase the technology to commercial users. So anybody listening can always go and visit Arvis just outside Chicago and see what automated warehousing and smart warehousing is all about. But as we mentioned before, overall, we're not investing in apps. That's not what we do, but we're really investing in movement and control and resilience. So all of these portfolios are focused around those elements.
How is AI relevant to these types of businesses?
Very good question. Is we've been using the term, it's the nervous system of modern supply chains. There are real use cases, it's being deployed, and it is just going to continue to be deployed. So it is a good thing for our industry. It's not a bad thing at all. It is a force multiplier for the humans involved here. And it is ideal for prediction when you start looking at demand, failure rates, disruption. It's also outstanding for optimizing systems. So looking at routing and inventory, asset utilization, delivery. And then of course everybody's excited about autonomy. It's an important part, and it's really, again, augmenting humans, but also, replacing humans in jobs that are dull, dirty, and dangerous, and really just aren't value add, where we can deploy humans into much better working environments and higher quality work, and let the robots handle the things nobody really likes to do, and that is, repetitive. So, overall, it's not going to go anywhere, and the data very much shows the value of this, and I'm excited to see more. But again, it's really not about AI replacing supply chains. It's really making them survivable and resilient, and it's an exciting time to be in this.
So let's shift gears for a minute and talk about geopolitical risk, reshoring, and supply chain security. How do those factors influence your investment strategy?
So this is a key element for our thesis, and something we've leaned into since the beginning. And frankly, supply chains have become geopolitical weapons. We've seen this all from COVID, Ukraine, Red Sea, currently Iran. It's ongoing. It's been a power projection tool since the beginning of time, and every general has talked about this. And so right now in public, again, kind of the three big things that has got everybody's attention is reshoring and friendshoring. So if the United States decides that it wants to reindustrialize, and we hear about American dynamism, we have to be the most efficient, most effective, secure manufacturing and supply chain operations that we've ever seen. So there's no denying that we have got to invest substantially in this space. And specifically on the defense side, contested logistics is now it is kind of always been, but is officially now a top Department of War priority. This falls right into the six critical technologies that have been identified by the Department of War's um, CIO, and we are squarely involved with working on those solutions for that. And then, of course, our dependency risk on China. When you look at the critical minerals, you look at the components, you look at the transportation, it's 70 to 90%. We're dependent upon right now an adversarial nation to provide what we need to provide. So this is extremely critical in what we're working on and what we do with the St. Louis Freightway and what happens specifically in our region because of the density of companies that fall into that defense industrial base and support national security. And so where we invest is really that domestic production enablement, where that enable layer. So all of our technologies helps build all of the things that we're talking about building. And then we're looking at secure data layers because we have to have cybersecurity wrapped around everything in the supply chain. So that's a key element. Of course, autonomous systems, that is incredibly demanded right now by the Department of Defense. And there is endless active involvement associated with that because we need it for what we're doing. But just a couple of quick things. Lewis is sitting in a very interesting position in this geopolitical sphere because of our defense base that exists here, because of U.S. Transportation Command based here. These decisions are being made right at Scott Air Force Base, and all of those transportation commands for the different branches are all based there. So this is a significant effort by the nation to secure our supply chains and provide the capability in the United States to be able to provide what we need to defend the nation. Kind of to end this piece is that again, this next generation of supply chain innovation isn't about efficiency. It's about endurance, and we're building a specific portfolio that leans into that and turns really more into a logistics weapon system. Hear a lot of, like I said, I mentioned the generals you hear from before, but logistics wins wars and supply chains win economies. And in the end, whoever controls that movement is who wins. And that's squarely where we invest.
JP, thanks for joining us today. What a fascinating look at the supply chain sector from an investor's perspective. It's eye-opening to think about how venture capitalists can be wearing a second hat as a site selection consultant for early-stage companies, and we love that you see such tremendous opportunities for these companies in the St. Louis region. We're also excited to watch the continuing progress of the companies we discussed today that are revolutionizing the movement of freight. Special thanks to our sponsors. Their support makes it possible for us to continue to deliver the great content that is a hallmark of this annual conference. Presenting sponsors include Ameren, the Illinois Railroad Association, and GFT Infrastructure. Supporting sponsors include HNTB, Steadfast City, and the Hauser Group.